Have you ever noticed how the heaviest silences often come from the people who used to fill your life with warmth? What if the hardest part of a relationship changing is not the distance itself, but the quiet story you start telling yourself about what that distance means? If you have ever felt the sudden chill of someone pulling away, if you have ever watched a loved one become polite, formal, and guarded, where they were once open and free, this is for you. Most people do not realize that the pain of someone fading away is actually split into two parts. The first part is simply the change in them. The second part, the part that keeps you awake at night and makes your chest tight, is the deep, painful belief that their distance is proof that you are no longer enough. Stay until the end, because the final lesson may change the way you see this pain forever. Think about how it happens. It rarely occurs all at once. It begins with shorter answers, a slight hesitation, a polite smile that does not quite reach their eyes. The ease you once shared is replaced by a careful formality, as if you are suddenly speaking to a stranger who happens to know all your secrets. And in that empty space where warmth used to be, your mind rushes in to fill the void. You replay conversations. You wonder what you said wrong. You analyze every text, every look, searching for the exact moment you ruined it. Stop, breathe, let that sink in. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that suffering arises not purely from the way the world is, but from our deep resistance to the way it is changing. We cling to a frozen image of how a person used to be, and we suffer because the reality in front of us no longer matches that picture. Even worse, we attach our own worth to the consistency of their affection. We believe that if we were truly valuable, they would never have placed a wall between us. Imagine walking out into a garden you have tended every day. For a long time, the sun was warm and the flowers were in bloom. Then, the season shifts. The air grows cold and the leaves begin to close. You do not stand in the garden and blame yourself for the winter. You do not ask the frost what you did to make it arrive. You simply recognize that the season has changed. Yet, when someone you love shifts their season, when a friend stops calling, when a partner builds a quiet wall, when a family member treats you like a casual acquaintance, you blame yourself for the cold. You carry their emotional shift as a heavy burden on your own shoulders, believing that if you had just been better, smarter, or more perfectly aligned with their needs, the summer would have stayed. Ask yourself, are you grieving the distance, or are you punishing yourself for it? Think about your own life. What are you still holding on to? What are you afraid will happen if you simply let them be distant without taking it personally? Pause, breathe, observe the thought without following it. The next time you feel that cold formality from someone you love, let the feeling rise without making it your identity. You can witness their withdrawal without letting it write a story about your worth. You do not have to carry the weight of someone else's closed door, because peace is not something you chase by trying to fix the unfixable. It is something you make space for when you finally separate their actions from your value. But letting go of that deep-seated story is only the first step. And this is where the next truth begins. Because beneath every reaction is a fear waiting to be understood. 2. The story of not enough. What if the heaviest burden you carry is not their silence, but the translation your mind gives to that silence? Here is the truth few people want to face. When a loved one pulls away and becomes formal, your mind panics. It desperately searches for a reason to explain the sudden chill. And in the absence of a clear answer, the mind almost always defaults to the most painful explanation possible. It must be me. You tell yourself that you are too much, or perhaps you are not enough. You convince yourself that if you were more interesting, more patient, more understanding, or simply more worthy of love, they would not be treating you like a stranger. You take their emotional distance and you wear it as a personal failure. In Buddhist thought, this is the deep trap of the thinking mind. Buddhism reminds us that much of our suffering comes not from the event itself, but from the story we wrap around the event. There is a famous teaching about the two arrows. When something painful happens, like a friend or partner becoming cold, that is the first arrow. It hurts. You cannot always avoid the first arrow, but the second arrow is the story you tell yourself about the pain. They do not care about me anymore. I am unlovable. I always ruin things. That second arrow is not fired by them. It is fired by you, directly into your own heart. Imagine walking through a quiet forest at dusk. You see a large, dark shape looming on the path ahead. In the dim light, your mind instantly tells you it is a dangerous animal waiting to strike. Your chest tightens. Your breathing grows shallow. You are paralyzed by fear. But as you take a step closer and the moonlight shifts, you see that it is only an old, twisted tree stump. The stump never intended to harm you. It was just sitting there, existing in its own quiet reality. The danger, the panic, and the pain were entirely created by the story your mind told in the dark. When someone you love becomes formal and distant, their behavior is often like that shadow on the path. You cannot see clearly what is happening inside them. Perhaps they are exhausted by their own life. Perhaps they are fighting a silent emotional storm you know nothing about. Perhaps they simply need to pull their energy inward to survive. But in the dark space of not knowing, your fear creates a monster called I am not enough. You react to the monster instead of recognizing the reality. Think about that. How many times have you broken your own heart over a story that was never true? What are you afraid will happen if you simply allow them to be distant without making it a reflection of your own worth? Pause, breathe, observe the thought without following it. The next time your mind says, "They are distant because I am unworthy," watch the thought rise. See it for what it is. A story. A cloud drifting across the vast sky of your mind. You do not have to chase the cloud. You do not have to invite it in and let it take over your sky. Let it pass. Because you are not the fearful stories your mind tells you in the dark. You are the quiet sky behind them. But recognizing the story is only part of the journey. To truly stop fighting the distance, you must understand the nature of everything that comes together. And this is where the next truth begins. 3. The law of impermanence in relationships. What if the hardest truth to accept is that even beautiful things are not meant to stay exactly as they were? The tighter you hold on to a moment that has passed, the more you suffer in the present. Here is the truth. We expect the people we love to remain static. We want their warmth, their closeness, and their open vulnerability to be permanent fixtures in our lives. When a close friend, a family member, or a partner becomes distant and replaces their deep affection with polite formality, we feel deeply betrayed. We do not just feel betrayed by them, we feel betrayed by the change itself. We fight the shift. We try to drag them back to the way things were yesterday, last month, or last year. We believe that if a connection was real, it should never alter. Buddhist wisdom teaches us a very different reality. One of the deepest lessons of Buddhism is the truth of impermanence. Everything in this world is in a constant state of flux. The seasons, the tides, the clouds, our own minds, and yes, the emotional capacities of the people around us. Non-attachment does not mean you do not care. It means you stop demanding that things remain frozen in time. Our deep emotional pain arises when we demand permanence in a universe that is constantly moving. We suffer because we try to hold the wind in our hands. Imagine a river flowing toward the ocean. You find a quiet, beautiful bend in the water, and you step in. The water feels perfect. It is clear, cool, and comforting. You want to keep it exactly as it is, So you reach down and try to hold the water tightly in your fists. But the nature of a river is to move. If you clench your hands to trap the water, it only slips through your fingers, leaving your hands empty, cold and aching. If you want to love the river, you must allow it to flow. You must let the water pass. We do this constantly with our connections. Think about the long conversations you used to have. Think about the shared silence that once felt safe, and the profound feeling of being completely understood. When that warmth suddenly shifts into polite, brief messages, or when family gatherings become strained and carefully guarded, you clench your fists. You try to force the closeness back into existence. You demand explanations, trying to trap the water. But sometimes, people simply shift. Their internal currents change. Their energy moves elsewhere. Not always because of something you did, but because it is the nature of a human life to move. Ask yourself, are you loving the person standing in front of you right now? Or are you desperately loving a memory of who they used to be? What are you afraid will happen if you simply let them change? Stop, breathe, open your hands. Let the reality of this moment exist without fighting it. You do not have to like the distance, but you can stop fighting the truth that it has arrived. Do your part, then release the outcome. Let the river flow, because peace is not found in forcing the water to stay still. Peace is found in learning to sit quietly on the bank, observing the current without drowning in it. But accepting that they have changed is only half the struggle. What happens when your mind refuses to rest, constantly searching for hidden meanings in their polite silence? And this is where the next truth begins. 4. The exhaustion of reading between the lines. Have you ever noticed how exhausting it is to search for meaning where there is only silence? What if your mind is working tirelessly to solve a puzzle that was never meant to be solved? Here is the truth. When a loved one replaces their warmth with a sudden, careful formality, that politeness feels louder than anger. Anger is direct. Anger gives you something to react to, but formal distance is a quiet, empty room, and human beings are deeply terrified of empty rooms. So, you begin to analyze everything. A one-word text message becomes a crisis. A brief nod across a room feels like a profound rejection. You lie awake, replaying the exact tone of their voice when they said hello. You dissect their casual greeting, searching for clues, trying to read between the lines of their emotional retreat. You convince yourself that if you can just figure out exactly why they are pulling away, you can find the right words to fix it. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that this obsessive searching is the restless mind trying to control the uncontrollable. Buddhism reminds us that our deepest suffering multiplies when we refuse to sit with the unknown. The mind hates uncertainty. It would rather create a painful story than accept an unexplained silence. We exhaust ourselves by trying to drag certainty out of ambiguity. We mistake our endless overthinking for productive problem-solving, completely unaware that the overthinking itself is what is draining our spirit. Imagine a person standing in a quiet room when someone else suddenly walks out and locks the door behind them. Instead of sitting down and resting in the quiet space, you run to the door, you shake the handle, you press your ear against the wood, desperately trying to hear footsteps on the other side. You analyze the click of the lock, wondering if it was locked in anger, in sadness, or simply by accident. You exhaust yourself rattling a door that you do not have the key to open. You are trying to force a connection back open by sheer willpower, but all you are doing is bruising your own hands against a closed door, while the rest of the room remains peaceful and waiting. You do this with their delayed replies. You do this with their polite, distant conversations at family dinners or casual meetups. You press your ear to the wooden door of their silence, assuming every pause, every short answer, and every formal smile is a hidden judgment about your worth. You exhaust your mind trying to read shadows. Think about your own life. Think about the sheer amount of energy you have wasted trying to interpret someone else's quietness. Ask yourself, is your endless analysis actually changing their behavior, or is it only destroying your own peace? What are you afraid to feel if you simply stop trying to translate their distance? Stop. Breathe. Let that sink in. Stop trying to force the door open. The next time you find yourself dissecting a text message or replaying a formal conversation, just pause. Observe the urge to analyze, but do not follow it into the dark. Let the silence be just silence. Let their distance belong to them, because peace is not found by figuring out exactly what they are thinking. Peace is found when you realize you do not need to know. You do not have to solve the mystery of their retreat, but putting down the magnifying glass is incredibly difficult when a part of you still believes you can repair the connection if you just try a little harder. And this is where the next truth begins. 5. The trap of trying to fix it. What if your frantic efforts to heal the connection are actually the very things pushing peace further away? Here is the truth. When someone we love steps back into a cold, formal distance, our deepest instinct is to lean in harder. We panic. We feel the sudden loss of warmth, and we immediately decide that it is our absolute responsibility to restore the fire. You try to compensate for their silence by over-communicating. You send the long text message hoping to spark the old closeness. You apologize for things you are not even sure you did. You become excessively accommodating. You walk on eggshells, shrinking your own needs, constantly changing your behavior, and polishing your words so perfectly that you hope they will have no reason to stay away. You believe that if you just do enough, give enough, or become enough, you can pull them back to the center. You turn yourself into a mechanic, trying to fix the mysterious engine of a human heart. In Buddhist thought, this frantic effort is recognized as a deep form of resistance. Buddhism teaches us that profound suffering stems from our desire to control the uncontrollable. We mistakenly believe that we alone are responsible for keeping a connection alive. We mistake our desperate clinging for love. But attachment is not love. Clinging is deeply rooted in fear, while true love and true peace requires the courage to allow for freedom. Imagine a bird you have cared for that suddenly flutters to the edge of an open window. It looks out into the vast sky, its wings twitching, its energy pulling it outward. Terrified of losing it, you rush forward and close your hands tightly around its fragile body. You tell yourself you are saving it. You tell yourself you are keeping it safe and warm. But the bird only panics. It thrashes against your grip, desperate for the space you have suddenly stolen. By trying to force it to stay, you have turned a place of care into a cage. If you truly loved the bird, you would step back. You would leave the window open and allow it the freedom of the sky, trusting that what belongs to you does not need to be held by force. Think about how often you have done this with the people you love. When they pull back, you rush forward with both hands. You try to force a warm conversation out of a polite exchange. You press them to explain their distance. You unknowingly trap them in your anxiety, demanding that they reassure you, demanding that they stay exactly as they were yesterday. But you cannot negotiate someone back into closeness. You cannot fix a quiet shift in their spirit by suffocating them with your fear of abandonment. Ask yourself, are you reaching out to them out of genuine love, or are you reaching out because your own anxiety cannot stand the empty space? What are you afraid will happen if you simply stop trying to fix it? Pause, breathe, let your hands open. The next time you feel the urgent need to send that perfectly crafted message to win them back, or to apologize for their silence, stop. Let the urge rise and let it pass. Do your part. Be kind, and then release the outcome. Let them have their space without making it your life's mission to rescue the relationship. Because peace is not found by repairing every broken connection. Peace is found when you realize you do not have to carry the heavy weight of holding everything together. But stepping back feels impossible when you secretly believe their distance is a direct judgment on your character. And this is where the next truth begins. 6. Their retreat is not your reflection. What if the distance they placed between you has absolutely nothing to do with who you are? Here is the truth. We are deeply self-centered in our suffering. When a loved one becomes quiet, formal, and polite, our immediate reaction is to look in the mirror. We scan our recent interactions. We judge our own behavior. We assume that because we feel the pain of their withdrawal, we must be the absolute cause of it. We take their silence and use it as a mirror to reflect all our own hidden insecurities. If they are ignoring us, we must be forgettable. If they are suddenly treating us like a casual acquaintance, we must have been foolish to believe we were ever close. We make their emotional retreat entirely about us. Buddhist wisdom teaches us to look deeper into the nature of reality. In Buddhist thought, every person is a complex, shifting universe of their own suffering, their own history, and their own internal conditions. When you assume that someone's behavior is solely a reaction to you, you are shrinking their vast, complicated human experience down to a single point. You are forgetting that they have their own inner battles, their own exhaustion, and their own quiet fears. Their retreat is often a profound statement about their own internal weather, not a judgment on your worth. Imagine a deep lake perfectly reflecting the bright moon on a clear night. The water is entirely calm, and the image is sharp, glowing, and beautiful. But then, a sudden storm rolls in. The wind howls, and the surface of the lake violently churns. The water becomes rough, dark, and muddy. The reflection of the moon shatters into 1,000 broken pieces. Does the moon look down at the shattered reflection and believe it has suddenly become ugly? Does the moon believe it has lost its light because the lake can no longer hold its image? No. The moon remains exactly what it is. It is only the lake that has become too turbulent to reflect it clearly. When a partner goes silent, when a lifelong friend suddenly keeps conversations strictly to the surface, or when a family member builds a polite wall between you, their mind is often like that troubled water. They are churning with their own hidden storms, stress, a crisis of direction, emotional burnout, or a heavy sadness they cannot articulate. They cannot reflect your warmth right now. They cannot hold the depth of the connection. But their temporary inability to reflect your light does not mean your light has gone out. Think about your own life. How many times have you blamed yourself for a storm you did not create? Ask yourself, are you taking responsibility for someone else's troubled water? What would happen if you simply let them have their storm while you remained whole and untouched in the vast sky above? Stop. Breathe. Let that sink in. The next time you feel the sharp sting of their formal politeness, pause. Remind yourself that you are only witnessing their weather. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity. You do not have to fix their storm, and you certainly do not have to believe the storm is about you. Because peace is not found in forcing the lake to be still, so you can finally see your own worth. Peace is found in remembering that you are the moon, but realizing that their distance is not your fault is only a shift in perspective. How do you actually walk through life while the people you love are constantly changing shape? And this is where the next truth begins. 7. The art of letting people shift. What if the truest form of love is the willingness to let someone change? Here is a truth we rarely admit. We do not just love people, we love the specific version of them that makes us feel safe. We fall in love with their warmth, their availability, and the easy way they let us into their lives. So, when that person inevitably shifts, when they quiet down, when they retreat behind a wall of politeness, when they become a formal, guarded version of themselves, we feel deeply betrayed. We treat their transformation as a personal offense. We stand in front of them with our memories in hand, holding up a picture of who they used to be, demanding that they return to that exact shape. Buddhism reminds us that this demand for permanence is the root of so much unnecessary pain. Buddhist wisdom teaches that every living being is in a constant state of becoming. We are all shifting, breaking, healing, and changing form, based on the seasons of our own internal lives. When we refuse to let someone shift, we are no longer loving them. We are loving a ghost. True non-attachment is not about pushing people away or becoming cold yourself. It is about releasing your tight grip on who you think they are supposed to be, so you can gently accept who they actually are right now. Imagine standing beneath a magnificent ancient tree. All summer, its thick leaves provided you with perfect shade, comfort, and a place to rest. You felt utterly safe beneath its branches. But as autumn deepens into winter, the leaves dry up and fall. The tree pulls its energy deep into its roots just to survive the freezing air. Its branches become bare, rigid, and silent. If you stand beneath that tree in the dead of winter, angry that it is no longer giving you warm shade, you will only freeze and suffer. The tree has not betrayed you. It is not punishing you. It has simply entered its winter. It is doing exactly what it must do to survive the cold. When someone you love becomes formal and distant, they have entered their winter. Life, unseen stress, hidden sorrow, or simply the shifting currents of their own mind have caused them to pull their emotional energy inward. Their polite distance is their bare branches. They cannot offer you the warm shade they once did. But instead of honoring their quiet season, you stand in the cold, shaking the trunk, demanding leaves where there are none. You exhaust yourself fighting their natural cycle. Think about the person whose distance is currently causing your mind to race. Ask yourself, can you care for them enough to let them have their winter? Can you allow them to be exactly who they are today, without punishing them for no longer being who they were yesterday? What are you afraid will happen if you simply let them shift? Pause, breathe, release the image of who they used to be. The next time you face their guarded formality, do not fight it. Do not try to drag them back into the summer. Meet them exactly where they are today. Let them stand in their winter, without making it a story about your worth. Because peace is not found by forcing a blooming flower out of the frozen ground. Peace is found by honoring the reality of the season. But when you finally let them have their space, you are often left standing alone in the quiet, trying to remember who you are without their constant warmth. And this is where the next truth begins. 8. Returning to the safe harbor within. What if the emptiness you feel when someone pulls away is not actually a void they left behind? What if it is simply a quiet space calling you back to yourself? Here is the truth. We often mistake other people for our emotional foundation. When a friend, a partner, or a family member provides consistent warmth and closeness, we begin to build our house on their ground. We rely on their daily messages, their easy laughter, and their open conversations to feel safe, grounded, and worthy of love. So when they suddenly retreat behind a polite, formal wall, we do not just lose a connection. We feel like we have lost our center of gravity. We wander through our days feeling entirely unmoored, desperately waiting for them to return and make us feel whole again. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that this is the danger of seeking permanent refuge in a temporary world. In Buddhist thought, one of the most vital teachings is the instruction to be an island unto yourself. True peace can never be permanently anchored to the shifting minds and changing emotional weather of other people. When you rely completely on someone else's warmth to define your worth, you hand them the keys to your own inner peace. And when they inevitably shift or step away, you are left standing outside in the cold. Imagine two boats out on the open sea. For a long time the water is calm, and you tie your boat to theirs. It feels safe and comforting to drift together. But suddenly, the wind picks up, the sky turns dark, and the water becomes rough. The other boat begins to pull away, driven by its own strong current or its own need to navigate the storm alone. Instead of dropping your own heavy anchor into the deep, still ocean floor beneath you, you panic. You throw out ropes, desperately trying to tie yourself back to the moving boat. But if you try to anchor yourself to a ship that is drifting away in a storm, you will not find safety. You will only be dragged through the turbulent water, exhausting yourself entirely at the mercy of their wild current. You do this when you let their polite distance dictate your daily mood. You do this when you spend your evenings waiting for a message that is short and formal, feeling hollow because they have not validated your existence today. You are throwing ropes at a drifting boat, entirely forgetting that you have a powerful anchor of your own. Think about your own life. Think about how much power you have given away to someone who is currently facing away from you. Ask yourself, have you made someone else the caretaker of your internal peace? What are you afraid to feel if you stop waiting for them and finally turn inward? Pause, breathe, call your energy back. The next time you feel the sharp ache of their formal silence, do not throw another rope. Stop reaching outward for safety. Drop your anchor into the quiet depth of your own being. Let them drift if they must. Let their distance be their own journey, because peace is not found by successfully tying yourself to another person's returning warmth. Peace is found when you remember that you were always designed to float securely on your own. But learning to stand alone is only the preparation for the ultimate release. And this is where the final truth begins. 9. The freedom of releasing the story. What if the most profound healing happens the moment you simply stop fighting reality? Think back to the beginning of this journey. We started with that quiet, terrifying moment when someone you love replaced their deep warmth with a careful, polite formality. We looked at the sudden chill that enters the room, the panic that rushes into your mind, and the sleepless nights spent analyzing their short messages. We saw the exhaustion of trying to fix a connection that was silently shifting out of your grasp. But most importantly, we exposed the heaviest burden of all, the deeply painful story that their emotional distance is undeniable proof that you are not enough. You carried their coldness as a personal failure, convinced that if you were truly valuable, the connection would never have changed. Buddhist wisdom gently reminds us that our ultimate freedom is never found by successfully controlling how others treat us. It is never found in forcing the people we love to remain perfectly consistent. Freedom is found in the quiet, spacious realization that you are not the fearful stories your mind writes in the dark. You are not the empty spaces left behind by someone else's retreat, and you are not responsible for managing the changing seasons of another human heart. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, calm ocean at the break of dawn. For a long time, you have been holding a heavy, jagged stone in your hands. You convinced yourself that this stone was your absolute responsibility, and that if you just gripped it tightly enough, it would somehow transform into something beautiful. That stone is the story of your own unworthiness. It is the exhaustion of reading between the lines. It is the frantic, endless effort to force open a door that someone else chose to lock. Your hands are deeply bruised. Your spirit is entirely exhausted. But as the morning light touches the water, you realize a profound truth. You do not have to carry it anymore. You open your bruised hands. You let the heavy stone fall into the deep water. It sinks instantly to the bottom, leaving only a few gentle ripples before the surface of the ocean becomes perfectly smooth, quiet, and vast once again. When you finally let go of the story that their distance means you are broken, you experience that exact same smoothness in your soul. You begin to understand that human beings will constantly ebb and flow. Connections will breathe, shift, expand, and sometimes pull away. A friend might go completely quiet. A partner might step back into a guarded shell. A family member might build a wall of polite distance. But you no longer have to crash against those walls like a frantic, desperate wave. You can simply be the deep, quiet ocean beneath the surface, completely untouched by the shifting tides of their temporary affection. Think about the immense energy you will recover when you stop trying to solve the mystery of their silence. Think about the profound, quiet relief of finally giving them permission to be exactly who they are today, while giving yourself absolute permission to remain completely whole. You are not a fragmented reflection in their troubled water. You are the light itself. Let the burden fall from your hands. The next time you encounter their polite, formal distance, meet it with a quiet, undisturbed grace. Let them have their winter. Let their distance be their own. You no longer have to make it mean anything about you. If these lessons touched your heart, share this video with someone who may need a little more peace today. You can let go now.